In the town of Raven's Hollow, the tale of Ethan Blackwood, now known as Phantom Requiem, was whispered among the shadows, a spectral legend that chilled the hearts of even the bravest souls. His story began in the once grand Blackwood Manor, a sprawling estate that had long since fallen into decay, mirroring the tragic fate of its last true heir. Ethan Blackwood was an esteemed scientist, known for his groundbreaking work in the field of quantum mechanics. Driven by a desire to push the boundaries of human knowledge, he often delved into experiments that skirted the line between science and the supernatural. One fateful night, his ambitions drew the attention of Dr. Victor Malachi, an evil scientist notorious for his unethical methods and sinister experiments. Seeing Ethan as both a threat and a tool, Malachi orchestrated a dark betrayal. Ethan was dragged to an underground facility, where Malachi conducted his gruesome experiments. In a cold, sterile room, surrounded by the hum of machines and the scent of antiseptic, Ethan's life was brutally ended. His body was left to rot, but his soul was far from at rest. The injustice of his death awakened a dark force within him. From the depths of darkness, Ethan was reborn as Phantom Requiem, the Shadow Reaper, driven by a vengeful desire to hunt down those who perpetuated evil. Cloaked in a tattered hood, his eyes glowing with an eerie light, he emerged from the shadows of Blackwood Manor, a spectral avenger ready to mete out his twisted form of justice. The years passed, and Blackwood Manor became the stuff of legend, a place where the brave and foolish alike dared each other to spend a night. It stood as a monument to tragedy, its halls filled with whispers of the past and the chilling presence of Phantom Requiem. Local lore spoke of the Shadow Reaper who roamed the manor, seeking vengeance against those who dared to bring harm to the innocent. Phantom Requiem began his quest for vengeance with a list of names etched into his spectral memory, each a part of the conspiracy that led to his untimely demise. Phantom Requiem's first target was Malcolm, the ruthless leader of the men who had abducted him. Malcolm lived in a secluded cabin on the outskirts of Raven's Hollow, confident that he had escaped the consequences of his actions. The cabin, surrounded by dense woods, was a fortress of solitude where Malcolm believed he could hide from any retribution. He had long forgotten Ethan Blackwood, considering him just another victim in his sordid career of crime. One stormy night, as thunder roared and lightning split the sky, Phantom Requiem made his move. The storm's fury mirrored the rage that had festered within the spectral avenger. Malcolm was in a deep sleep, dreaming of the riches and power his unscrupulous deeds had brought him. He was abruptly awoken by an unnatural chill that penetrated his bones, a cold that seemed to seep into his very soul. He reached for his gun, kept under his pillow for such emergencies, but found his fingers trembling and unresponsive. The shadows in his room seemed to come alive, coiling around him like serpents. Malcolm's eyes widened in terror as he watched the darkness swirl and solidify into a figure cloaked in a tattered hood. Phantom Requiem emerged from the darkness, his glowing eyes fixed on Malcolm. "You will pay for your sins," he intoned, his voice a chilling whisper that resonated with otherworldly power. Malcolm, trying to muster his bravado, pointed the gun at the apparition and fired. The bullets passed through Phantom Requiem harmlessly, embedding themselves in the wall behind him. The gun clicked empty, and Malcolm's heart raced as he realized the futility of his efforts. Phantom attacked on him and tightened his grip around his throat. Phantom Requiem's eyes burned with a vengeful light as he watched Malcolm's torment. "Feel the fear you inflicted upon others," he whispered. Malcolm's eyes bulged, his lips forming soundless pleas for mercy that went unanswered. The room filled with a palpable sense of dread, the air thick with the scent of ozone and fear. Malcolm fell lifeless to the floor, his eyes wide with terror. His face was frozen in a rictus of horror, a silent testament to the agony of his final moments. Phantom Requiem stood over the body, his mission of vengeance just beginning. He turned and vanished into the darkness. Phantom Requiem's next target was Dr. Victor Malachi, the mastermind behind Ethan's tragic demise. Following Ethan's death, Malachi had retreated to his opulent mansion, a fortress of luxury and security. High walls encircled the property, and armed guards patrolled its perimeter. Malachi believed he was untouchable, his wealth and influence shielding him from any retribution. But Phantom Requiem, reborn from the depths of darkness, was not bound by the constraints of the physical world. On a moonless night, the mansion stood ominously against the starless sky, its grandiose architecture casting long, foreboding shadows. Inside, Malachi was absorbed in his study, surrounded by books, charts, and the paraphernalia of his nefarious experiments. The room was dimly lit by the flickering glow of a single lamp, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. The temperature plummeted, and the lights began to flicker erratically. Malachi glanced up, a sense of unease prickling his skin. The lamp on his desk sputtered before extinguishing completely, plunging the room into darkness. Suddenly, from the depths of the darkness, Phantom Requiem emerged. His form was barely visible, a shadowy figure cloaked in tattered robes. His eyes glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light, casting a haunting luminescence in the room. "Justice has come for you, Malachi," he whispered, his voice reverberating with a spectral resonance. Malachi's breath caught in his throat. He stumbled back, knocking over a stack of books. What are you?" he stammered, his voice quivering with fear. Phantom Requiem stepped forward, his movements smooth and deliberate. "I am the retribution you thought you could escape," he said. "I am Ethan Blackwood, returned from the abyss to make you feel the pain you so callously inflicted upon me." Panic surged through Malachi. He turned to flee, but the shadows in the room had come alive. They closed in around him, forming a dark, impenetrable prison. He clawed at the air, but there was no escape. Phantom Requiem's eyes blazed with fury as he stepped closer. "You will feel every ounce of the agony you inflicted upon me," he said, his voice a harsh whisper. "You will understand the depths of your cruelty." The shadows responded to his command, tightening their grip with relentless force. Malachi's eyes widened in terror as the darkness began to crush him. The room fell silent, the echoes of his screams lingering in the cold air. Phantom Requiem stood over the lifeless form, a sense of grim satisfaction washing over him as he vanished into the night. Phantom Requiem's vengeance did not stop there. He hunted down each collaborator who had played a role in his death. Gregory, the assistant who had helped Malachi design the experiments, was next. Gregory had fled to a distant city, hoping to escape his past. But Phantom Requiem was relentless. One foggy night, Gregory was walking home from work when he felt a presence behind him. He quickened his pace, but the shadows followed. Suddenly they surged forward, engulfing him. Phantom Requiem's face appeared within the darkness. "You cannot escape your fate," he said. The shadows closed in, tearing at Gregory's flesh, dragging him into a void of pain and despair. His cries for help went unanswered, his body disappearing into the night, never to be seen again. With each act of vengeance, Phantom Requiem grew stronger. He had exacted justice on all who had wronged him, but his thirst for retribution was not yet sated. Raven's Hollow became a place of fear, where shadows whispered of a vengeful spirit that punished the wicked. Phantom Requiem, once Ethan Blackwood, was a testament to the relentless pursuit of justice, twisted by the very darkness he sought to vanquish. And so, the haunted halls of Blackwood Manor stood as a monument to his tragic fate, forever shrouded in shadows, a place where the brave dared not tread, and the foolish met their end. His legend lived on, a chilling reminder that some forces, once awakened, can never be put to rest. The tale of Phantom Requiem continued to haunt the town, a spectral avenger who would not be forgotten, striking fear into the hearts of those who dared to commit evil.